Welcome to BunniPhish Crafts. I'm your host Heather, known as BunniPhish on Ravelry, Instagram, YouTube, and Patreon. Today is the 9th of February 2020, and this is episode number 6. How was your week? Mine was rough. Mine was so rough. A lot of miscommunication and just not good. So I'm hoping that this coming week is much better. I do have the whole weekend off though. No plans, no obligations, so that's really, really nice. I've just been crafting and cleaning and trying to chill out. So, administrative things. What do we have going on? We have the For the Love of Spinning spin along going on right now. And the hashtag will be at the bottom of the screen. It's happening over on Instagram. There are a few people joined in, which is a lot of fun. And yeah, I'm enjoying it, but there were 2 days this week, 2 days where I didn't spin. To be fair, one of the days I did spin about 3 yards. 3 yards, that's it. So yeah, I'm not counting that as a day where anything was spun. It got to be Thursday and everything was too much and I barely crafted at all that day. So, and then I started crafting a little bit again on Friday and spun 3 yards. So anyway, that spin along is going on through the end of the month over on Instagram. And it's also IncoWrimo, so that means that I am writing a letter every day. And so far I have kept up with it except yesterday. So I'll be writing 2 today. However, I have written like extra letters on a couple days, so it's balanced out. I'm actually more than 9 letters written this month. I just, I want to keep up per day, kind of. I don't know. In my brain, it makes sense. As I'm saying it, it seems silly, like silly rules, which it is. But if you would like a little note or letter or something, get in touch with me on one of the socials. Send me a private message somewhere, and I will send you a card or a letter or a postcard or something. Depends on how much information you feed me going in. If I know you, then I'll probably write a letter. If you're someone who I only interact with a little tiny bit, then maybe give me some stuff to write off of, like some information, like an intro, a pen pal intro. There you go. And I will write back a letter. Otherwise, I'll just send you a postcard. And I've been making some postcards that I really, really love this month. On to finished objects. I have 2, kind of. They're both like basically finished. By the time this is edited, they'll be finished. So I'm counting them as finished. That's fine, right? It's my podcast. I make the rules. So first, I applied the Frost Yarn Bat. Isn't it beautiful? Nope, you can't see it so well there. Okay. So this is the, it's from a Frost Yarn Bat. She is amazing. If you don't follow her on Instagram, you should. And Josh received this bat. He backs her or backed her on Patreon. I don't know if he still does. But she does something called Stalker Bats, where she goes through her patrons' feeds and pulls out fiber that she thinks would work for them. So this is what I have. It's a 2-ply. It's thick and thin. It did what it wanted. I didn't tell the fiber what to do. The fiber told me what it wanted to do. And then I plied it on itself just so it would have a little more structure, because singles are great. They're not my favorite thing to work with. So this is a double ply. Oh my goodness. Or not a double ply, a 2-ply. But thinking about this, I will insert right here a little video. You know what? I won't insert. I'll do the work right now. Hold on. Back to administrative stuff. It is February and I have not drawn my Patreon winner. So I just did that, and the winner is Christina. And Christina get in contact with me. So what I have up for grabs are that shawl that's been up for grabs forever, this skein of hand spun, or let me know, discuss with me. We'll figure something out. We'll figure out whatever you want. you know, a pattern. I have some yarn in my stash that maybe I could send you. I don't know. Christina, get in touch with me and we'll figure it out. So yes, this will be finished. I will insert a photo here with the yardage pre-wash. So the other thing that is finished, although not completely finished, is this pair of rainbow slope socks. So this is the first sock, and I had this finished last week. Here is the second sock, and I was just here in this pink section. And this sock, I have 3 rounds to go before I start the toe. And I'm pretty likely to work those 3 rounds while we're just sitting here chatting. So then I just have the toe. So I will insert a picture of the finished product here. The yarn that I used is Premier Serenity Sock in black for the main body, and all of these yarns are mini skeins from the ZK. And I think now that I've finished the second sock that I probably have just enough of a couple of the colors to do another pair of rainbowy socks with some sort of uneven striping to them. I don't know what those socks will look like. I will likely tackle them in March, but that is an idea. So yeah, I'm considering these finished today, because they will be finished today, just not at the time of this recording. Rainbow slope socks, and that's the Rise Over Run pattern by me, available on Ravelry. So for works in progress, let's talk about spinning a little bit. So I finished this. I had a really good day on whatever day this was for spinning. Maybe Monday, maybe Tuesday. I don't remember, but I applied this and then I did my 2 ounces on my spin for Karen. And I'm counting this turtle as finished. Like, I could theoretically go for a little bit longer. I have before covered these shorter legs almost completely in fiber wraps, but the way this fiber is spinning is pretty fine. And I guess you can't really see that. How about like this? It's pretty fine. So I don't want to have problems with my spindle becoming too heavy with the fiber for that width, I don't know, of yarn to hold it. And it's already becoming a little bit like, not very often, but a little bit finicky sometimes about letting that, or hold the fiber, the fiber holding the spindle up so it doesn't drop. So I'm actually going to take this turtle off right now. So turtle 1 is complete. And you want to see something funny though? This is what the fiber started spinning as, this thickness. And now it's down to this. Can you see the huge difference? Yeah. So I'm probably going to take like the first, I don't know, 5 or so yards out of the center of this and not ply with that, because the fiber and I were discussing how it wanted to spin, and it said super fine. So pretty. And I will be starting the second turtle today. I also on that day picked up the spin for my sister, and I weighed out 10 grams of fiber because I tentatively want to spin 10 grams this month. And I started spinning. So this is what's left of 10 grams. I don't know how many grams I've spun already, but this is what I have left for my goal. And this is what it's looking like. As you can see, I have some washi tape on there that's trying to come off right now because I broke the shaft of the spindle. So it's fine. The washi tape is doing its job. I'm over it. I'm not upset at the spin anymore. I just dropped some fiber on the ground. This will hopefully be on here by the end of the month. I'm just spinning this as a single, maybe like a DK weight single, and it's just going to remain a single because my sister wants the colors to, she wants the colors to not be muddied, and I didn't feel like doing a chain ply. So a single is fine. She uses singles and she's fine with it. Do you want to see bags? I'll show you bags. Why not? Because I know some things got moved around. So this Rise Over Run sock is in my Girl Cave bag. This spinning project is in a bag that Haley made for me. And now on to whatever's in this mermaid bag from Hooks by Happenstance. Let's see. Oh, this is exciting. So I finished the first sock of the Tootsie Roll pair. It's not fun. And here is the texture, the alternating stockinette and reverse stockinette sections. So I did on the leg just do a wrap and turn wherever the color changed so that I wouldn't actually be purling up here. And then on the sole of the sock, I did purl across the top instead of trying to like wrap and turn, and that technique does not make sense for the top of the sock, but it does for the leg of the sock. So I finished the first one. I did heel flap and gusset as per the pattern. I thought about doing a fish lips kiss heel or something because they're not, neither one is really easier, but so many podcasters say that a fish lips kiss heel is easier, so it's in my brain as easier. But a heel flap and gusset is very, very mindless. So I don't think either one is easier. I think what most people like about it is that then you don't have to do gusset decreases, but I actually kind of like gusset decreases because by the time you finish the gusset decreases, your foot is almost knit. It's about a third of the foot for this pair of socks is gusset decreases. So I like gusset decreases for that. It just breaks up the sock even more into small goals. So here's the first sock, and I have started the second sock, and I did do color matching so that the stripes would be as close as I could make them without like really, really trying to match them up, because the color sections are not the same width. So I didn't want, I don't know, I wanted them to look like a matched pair, and it was just, it didn't seem in my brain to be a good idea to have them not match up. So this is where I was last week. I only had the cuff. I knit the whole sock basically in the week, which is awesome. It's a really well written pattern. It's by Lisa K. Ross, and yeah, I really like it. The yarn is Cascade Yarns Heritage Prints in the color 46. Can't see that. There we go. Kalisha sent this to me for Christmas. So I have one sock knit, and it is super lovely. And then I have the second sock started, and it is about 2 rounds into the ribbing. 2.5, I guess. I'm at the halfway point. This is my beginning of round marker. This is my round counter. If you don't know what I'm talking about there, I will, you can go check out a tutorial I did. I will link it right here, or well, right up there, with a little card that can take you to the tutorial about how to use stitch markers to count your rows instead of actually having to count your rows and rounds. There's a flat version and a round version. So I did pull out a little tiny ball, not quite a full pattern repeat, to start the socks in the same place, and I will just use this for the heel, because what I did for this first heel is instead of continuing on with the yarn, I grabbed yarn from the outside of the ball and worked the heel so that I wouldn't disrupt the stripe sequence on the top. Mostly because I didn't want to get to a place where, for instance, I didn't want to finish the heel and go into this color right here that previously had been a stockinette section and then have to make that into a reverse stockinette section. I wanted the stripes to look nice in the pattern. So I'll use this for the heel, and this should be enough. If it's not, I'll just pull from the outside again of the ball. I'm finding that this ball is collapsing not very prettily, so I think I'm going to get one of my yarn cake cozies and put it around the outside to help it maintain its integrity until the sock is finished. And I did find that the Tootsie Roll sock was an easy enough pattern that I could work on it at work while I was in the lunchroom, pick it up, drop it, because you just have to look for a moment to see if you're knitting or purling. Knitting or purling, or if you need to change your which one you're doing. I did have a couple instances, probably 2 instances, where I actually had to tink back because my color changed and I didn't notice the shift, but not a big deal. It was never more than like 20 stitches, so easy enough to keep track of. Next up in this bag from Knit One Crochet Two that Haley sent me. Most of my bags are from Haley. The Girl Cave bag is from Haley. The Hooked by Happenstance bag is from Haley. And the bag she made me is from her, obviously. So anyway, I have the cat socks, which is the unicorn tube socks modified just a little bit. They won't have any horn, and the eyes, instead of being half circles like this, are going to be half circles the other way, per my niece's request. So here is the first cuff, and it is complete. I am waiting to finish this sock right here. I don't actually even have to finish it. I just need to get it to the toe because I do my toe decreases from 9-inch circulars on either double points or as part of a magic loop. For this one, I'll be doing it as part of a magic loop. Found a stitch that needs to be fixed. Sorry. It only caught part of it only caught 1 ply of the 1 or 2 plies of the like 8-ply yarn. So just drop down the 5 rounds, and I'm picking those stitches back up. All right, that is probably cut out. Anyway, you absolutely can do toe decreases on a 9-inch circular, but it gets really fiddly, and I find it just quicker to not have to work so hard with the needles if I put it on a magic loop or double points. So I'm going to work this one magic loop because I'm going to work it with my glove project, because that's on long needles. I'll talk about that more when I get to the glove project itself. So yeah, so now I only have 2 rounds to go. So once I finish those 2 rounds, I will put this project, the kitty tube sock, onto the needle. So up here for the cuff, I'm using Premier Serenity sock in purple. The ears are made out of a mini skein that Shayna Cohen sent me, Shayna Lines Designs. She sent me for Get Your Yarn Wishes Granted in December or late November. I don't remember. I requested mini skeins. It must have been late November because I opened them, or I used them as kind of an advent thing. So she sent me that, and that's what this looks like. And then as soon as I start using the 9-inch circular needle, I am going to attach this Lion Brand mani pedi in the boot colorway. So that is going to be the main body of the cat socks. I will be adding a heel into these socks. My niece wears basically the same size as me and her mom, so I'm going to make them in our size. And when she outgrows them, they can just be her mom's socks instead. Also, that's where I was last week. I just barely started. So the whole cuff. And if I had had 9-inch circulars available, I probably would have made a ton of progress on this. I anticipate this sock having a lot of progress now that this sock is finished. In my other Japanese knot bag, I have made a little tiny bit of progress. I didn't think I had made very much progress on here, but I just pulled out all the bags that I knew I had done something on. This is what, a quarter of a repeat. So that's fine. Maybe a third of a repeat on these. These are the Baby Diamond Legs by Lisa K. Ross, and these are going to be leg warmers for one of Patrick's nieces. They are about my daughter's age. I don't know how old they are. The yarn that I'm using is Knit Picks Stroll Glimmer in the blush colorway. I didn't do very much work on it. It's fine. It'll get there. It's a really easy pattern. I haven't referenced the pattern since probably the first repeat. Super memorizable. I don't know why I haven't been picking this up. I could totally work on this in the lunchroom. So at some point this month, progress on this will pick up. So I also have my gloves that I worked on a little bit this week in Silver Shed USA bag. That was a ZK exclusive. And ta-da, this is my Naughty Gloves by, I want to say, Julia Mueller. It's linked below though if it's wrong, and I'll try to remember to put it at the bottom of the screen if it's wrong. So I have 10 rounds to go before I start the actual cabling pattern. And that's where I was last week. And it only has this much progress because I finished the toe on the Tootsie Roll sock, and I worked the toe on this magic loop with the cuff. So I'll be working this toe on this needle with the cuff so that it actually gets progress. Magic loop is not my favorite way to knit things anymore. It used to be, and maybe if I didn't have, I think this is a 48-inch needle, maybe if it was like a 26 or whatever, I would like it better, but I have all of this extra over here. So it's fine. It's really nice for working two things at a time magic loop. It's just really fiddly working one thing at a time magic loop. So I will work it 2 at a time. I'll enjoy that much more and get some progress done on this mitten. And next week it will look so cool because I will have started the cable pattern, which is gorgeous. It's so beautiful. I cannot wait to work on that. The yarn that I'm using is Marigold Jen in the copper patina colorway, which is what I designed the cog in the machine out of, and this is the sparkle base. I love this color so much, which is why it's been sitting forever waiting for me to use it. I pretty much always put on chapstick when I find it because I'm a chapstick junkie. And I have all sorts of chapstick. Really nice chapstick, really inexpensive chapstick. I am an equal opportunity chapstick user. I also have the Turn a Square hat, and this has had so much progress on it because it's just stockinette in the round. So even on the days when I was like, nope, I hate everything, I hate all crafting, I'm not doing any, I would just pick this up, knit a few stitches, didn't have to think about it, and just go. I also taught a few classes this week, so this was good knitting for that. Oh, I had another project started, speaking of classes. So I had a learn to crochet class, and I try to work on crochet projects while I'm teaching crochet. So I started the chain reaction Afghan, and I did not like the instructions for the first square. So instead of following the instructions for the first square, I am going to do something very, very similar, but tweak it just a little. I didn't like the way that the circles were attached. Um, I just didn't like it. So I'm going to attach the circles differently. So I've actually thrown that bit of crochet away instead of trying to frog it out and use the little pieces, because you make little circles and then you cut after every circle, which is fine. But I don't want to mess with them, so I threw them away. It's totally fine. So no crochet project this week, although I did work on a crochet project. So anyway, this is going to be a turn a square. However, the pattern calls for striping yarns. I don't keep DK weight yarn in my stash. It's just not a weight that I gravitate toward. If I saw a skein of DK weight that was so beautiful that I just had to have it, I would of course pick it up, but it's not what I go toward. So I have this beautiful Luna Bud Knits DK weight in the TARDIS colorway, and I don't have something to stripe with it. I guess I could have held 2 strands of black Serenity sock together and striped that. Whatever, this is good enough. And mostly what I like about the turn a square hat is the decreases at the top. So that's what I'm going with. I need to work this to 5 inches, which it's probably pretty close. It might be past 5 inches from the cast on edge. So I need to measure that so I can figure that out to see if I need to start decreases. But super enjoyable. Even if I had been striping it, it would have been really enjoyable. I am using DK weight yarn, size 7 needles for the body, size 5 needles for the ribbing. And my boyfriend has already looked at it and he said he will wear it, which is good because then he can stop wearing all of my hats, because it would be fine if he would wear my hats and put them back where they go. But he doesn't. He wears them and then he misplaces them, and then I don't find them until I'm deep cleaning, and that's frustrating. And this project is in my Stitched by Jessalou bag so that I could walk around and work on this. When I have bigger classes, I have to get up a lot to move and show people things. So I like to have this clipped onto my belt loop. If I'm teaching a really small class, 1 or 2 people, I just have people sit next to me and I'm able to teach them. Not much walking, so my project can just sit out. So then my last project that I'm working on is my other DK weight project. This is a cog in the machine, patterned by me. And I'm doing a DK weight version. The original version is fingering weight. Take this off so it's not confusing. So this is where I was last week. I am through the first section and I need to start the second section, but I didn't do that. I could have 100% started the second section, but I didn't want to. I would have had to look up what to do next, and I just didn't get to that point. So it's been sitting for a couple days, not being worked on. That's okay though. I will look up what section 2 is and go ahead at section 2. I don't remember exactly how many sections there are, maybe 5. But you know, I did 1 section the first week. I'll do the second section this week and then figure it out from there so that I can get it done by the end of the month. The yarn that I'm using is in my yarn cozy. It is Ba Yarns Sonoma, which is 100% superwash merino, and the colorway Baba Black Sheep. I'm still going pretty strong on this first skein. So I'm hoping to get through, there's an actual cog motif. So I'm hoping to get through that section with the skein. We'll see, I don't know. I actually haven't looked at that pattern really since I published it. So I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm making things up. Now on to what I have been reading. This is going to be a slightly longer than normal segment of this because there is a book that I read this week that I have thoughts on, a lot of thoughts. So I'll talk about that one last. I finished, this book has a swear word on the cover, so avert little eyes, and I won't say it. But I finished this book. I liked it a lot. And it's not about not caring about anything. It's about choosing the important things to care about and kind of just letting everything else go. So I really, really liked it. I got it out from the library a long time ago and then didn't read it and didn't read it and didn't read it. And then the due date was coming, so I was like, oh, let me read it. And I only got about halfway through before the due date, and I think I even returned it a day late and put it back on hold. And then I just got it earlier this week and binge read the whole thing in one night. So yeah, it's pretty interesting once you get over the coarse language in the book. It's really, really good. If you're interested about kind of letting go, like a way to think about it, I don't know. I really, really enjoyed the book. And then I am reading The Hygge Holiday, which is a romance book. I am a little less than a third, maybe in between a quarter and a third of the way through the book. It's okay. It's fluffy. It's a romance book. I picked it up completely on a whim because it said Hygge on the front and I was in a Hygge moment. But it's due back this coming week, so I need to finish it. I've also been reading the Book of Hygge, which I think I've read before, but I'm enjoying the second read also. And I am a third of the way through this, also due back this coming week, so I will be reading those two books. I have also been listening in my car to selections from Dreamsongs by George R.R. Martin, and I have to tell you, this is kind of a struggle. It's not the stories are fine. I enjoy George R.R. Martin's stories, although I don't enjoy reading them. I listened to the entire Game of Thrones series as audiobooks. I did not read them. I tried to read them and I just couldn't. But as audiobooks, I really enjoyed them, even though I did not love the narrator. So I'm finding that, again, I do not love the narrators. They just, I don't know. I've listened to the intro and I don't think it even tells me what's in here. No, nowhere in here does it tell me what's in here. So I'm on the second disc out of 12. And I've listened to 2 short stories and the intro, and I've not liked the narrators on any of them. They're different narrators for different things. So I'm hoping that I will enjoy some of the other narrators better, and I'm liking the stories. I'm just not enjoying the narrators. So last up, this book right here. I got this as a blind date from the library, and it said that it was feminist Sleeping Beauty retelling. So I was like, oh, I love retellings of fairy tales, especially with feminist twists. I'm not sure where they got the feminist out of it. So I find this book super problematic, and I don't recommend reading it. So this is what I recommend. I recommend reading it as an adult, as an anthropological study. I do not recommend that young adults read it as a story with no background in things, which I will talk about. It has a lot of abuse, not a ton, of physical abuse, but a lot of emotional and psychological abuse. And I think because it said feminist on the recommendation, that I was hoping that there would be more of a, I don't know, an exploration of what those things were. Because in my head, the whole time I was reading it, I was like, oh my God, gaslighting. Um, and other things like they're making her be her own tormentor and things like that. And the whole time, but there's no commentary in the book about things like that. I felt really unsatisfied with the book overall. I think that the basic idea was there to make it so good and so interesting, and commentary about how these princess stories are really kind of messed up. Like, there's a girl who falls asleep and she's rescued by a prince who kisses her. So this all takes place after the prince kisses her, by the way, um, which I also enjoy, like an after story. I just felt like the idea was there and the it didn't come fully out. This idea of there's I needed there to be more commentary. I needed the internal struggle of the princess to be there to say, hey, what's happening here is not okay. But instead, she makes herself small and she, like, I feel like it's a really, really dangerous sort of book to give to young adults, because I remember as a young adult, like, reading these books and really, really internalizing them and internalizing the characters. And I feel like that could be super dangerous for girls to read this and make themselves small and make themselves fit into the mold. And spoiler alert, at the end, she breaks out, but it's literally in the last like page and a half that she breaks out. So it's just a whole book about a terrible abusive relationship with a huge um, disparity between power in the relationship. And then in the last page and a half something happens, but I don't feel like it really, I don't know, it felt very unsatisfying, and it felt kind of like a disservice to the idea. So anthropologically, I found it really um, really interesting to read into where we are kind of going with these retellings of princess stories. I just wanted it to go way further. And also, you know, it should have on here trigger warnings. And it doesn't. It should say, hey, trigger warnings. So, yeah, that's my feeling on Damsel by Elena K. Arnold. I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts on that. Anyway, I will be reading things that I have less thoughts on this coming week. Um, so there won't be quite as big of a rant at the end of next week's episode. And I will hopefully have a few, at least one more pair of socks finished in the coming week. I think I can do that. Maybe a sock and a hat. I think so. See you next Sunday. Bye.